Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now, thank you for submitting the homework. When it comes to the Sana'atul Khams, you can't use the common literal translation of the words. Like for example, khitaba. Some people wrote public speaking. It's rhetoric. That's what it is. Or for example, jadal. Some people wrote, I don't know. Some people wrote something else. Jadal is dialectic. So these are all they're all terms, they're terminology, they're istilahats that they have to be used, of course, accordingly. And because they go all the way back to Aristotle, right? That means that the origins, can be traced of these Arabic terms can be traced back into English terms as well. For example, al-Burhan is usually translated as demonstrative argument. Al-Jadal is dialectic, for example. Al-Mughalata is fallacy. Al-Shi'r, poetry. Al-Khitaba is, what was it? Rhetoric? Yeah. Right? Anyway, most of you got it right. I just need to go and read through the details. But for today's lesson, we are going to learn about the different types of how we are able to prove a point. Number one is through a syllogistic argument. Number one is through a syllogistic argument. In Arabic, we call this qiyas. Qiyas. Can you see the board? The sisters, can you see the board? No. Can you see the board now? What do you want me to do? What? I'm gonna write. Okay, number two is what we call deduction. Right? And deduction is istiqra'. And number three is analogy. And analogy is tamthil. Analogy is tamthil. Okay? Now, what does syllogism mean? Alhamdulillah, I asked you before to look into this so you know what syllogism means. What does istiqra' mean? Deduction. Istiqra' basically means that you exhort all effort in analyzing, for example, H2O all over the world and come up with the conclusion that water is drinkable. For example, مثلا, random example, probably worst example that can be given. Tamthil is by you comparing through analogy, by you comparing one thing to another thing and coming up with a conclusion. Who's heard the word qiyas before? No one? Qiyas. What's qiyas mean? Qiyas good or is qiyas bad? For us, is qiyas good or qiyas bad? Abu Hanifa qiyas. Is that good or bad? Stop talking, Zain. Is that good or bad? Do we accept qiyas as one of the sources of deducting a shari ruling? The answer is no. In fiqh, qiyas is batil. In fiqh, qiyas is batil. Mosquito has blood, right? Blood is najis, therefore mosquito blood is najis. Can we do that in fiqh? No, we can't. Right? The first person to do qiyas, as we say, was Iblis, comparing himself to Minu, to Adam. Is that right? To Adam or to the angels? Who did he compare himself to? To the angels? No, he compared himself to Adam. You created me from fire and you created him from clay, from soil, from clay. Right? So, Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man, Abu Hanifa was the one who invented qiyas as being one of the sources of fiqh, one of the sources of legislation, where he said you can use Quran, you can use reason, you can use sunnah, you can use what did I not mention? Quran, Sunnah, Aql, consensus, Ijma', and then he said you can use Qiyas as well. For us, we only have 4 sources of legislation: Quran, Sunnah, Aql, Ijma'. For Sunnis, they have 6 sources of legislation: Quran, Sunnah, Aql, Ijma', Qiyas, Istihsan. Right? Okay. So for us in fiqh, Qiyas is batil. What's that got to do with this? Because in logic, terminology is different. In fiqh, Qiyas is batil, but in logic, it's not called Qiyas, it is called Tamthil. So the fiqhi Qiyas is called Tamthil in logic. Right? How many people have I lost, be honest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So, the first question that I asked was, how many of you have come across the word qiyas? A lot of you put your hand up. You put your hand up because you've heard it in the context of your Islamic readings or in lectures that are given about Abu Hanifa introducing qiyas, right? What I'm trying to explain is you have to forget that, because that's in fiqh. Here we're doing logic, because what is called qiyas in fiqh is called tamthil in logic, because qiyas has nothing to do with comparing one thing with another thing. That's what tamthil does. Tamthil is all about comparing one thing with another thing and coming up with a conclusion. Still not clear?
No, it's not there.
So it is clear.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
In English, qiyas and fiqh, in fiqh, sorry. Qiyas and tamthil both mean analogy.
In fiqh?
Yes. Or are interchangeable?
No, in fiqh they use the word qiyas,
Okay.
which is not in fiqh, which is not to be translated as syllogism. In fiqh, it's to be translated as analogy. In logic, we don't use that word, we don't use that term. In logic, we use the term tamthil. We use the word tamthil. Okay? We use the word tamthil. Hissa, we're going to give examples now when we start reading. Hajj Mustafa, please.
It is called dalil because it is used as an argument.
Where are you reading?
Just before. Okay, can I start from the previous paragraph? Therefore, it is possible to define dalil as.
Where are you? Where are you reading?
Therefore,
Okay, therefore,
it is possible to define al-dalil as the form of composing between the mentally known propositions where through them one reaches an unknown required result, or expressed as the acquirer of unknown tasdiq, al-kasib lil-majhul tasdiq.
okay.
It is called dalil because it is used as an argument or evidence to prove the required, as the meaning of arguing literally means seeking evidence.
Yes.
And it is also called a hujjah because it is used as an argument against the opponent.
So, what we are studying now is called al-dalil. It's also called al-hujjah. So, these are two interchangeable terms of what we are studying in this chapter. Okay? Carry on.
Ways of compiling the selected information. There are three different methods to argue a point and prove it. And these different ways are based on the method of compiling the chosen information in order to reach a conclusion. 1. To start from an introduction that starts with proving a ruling on a universal subject that unites between individuals, and then apply this law on the unknown individual that exists under the universal. The downward method from the universal to that which is below it in the particulars is called a syllogism, and it is a philosophical and religious method of thinking. Example: we know that an animal is a body, jism. So we prove the ruling of jismiyya to an animal, and we know that a human is below the animal, so we said a human is an animal, every animal is a body, conclusion, a human is a body.
Okay, so we in these three sentences, the first is called premise number 1, and the second is called premise number 2, and the third is called conclusion, right? So, yes.
Some of the books have it as major premise and then minor.
Yeah, so minor premise, sughra, kubra, natija. Minor premise, major premise, conclusion. Right? Sughra, kubra, natija. Minor premise, major premise, conclusion. Or premise 1, premise 2, conclusion. Up to whatever.
Is the major premise the second one?
Every animal is a body. So, here, if you read through that explanation again, right, you are trying to prove a law or a ruling to a general subject, right? Something that is very universal and general, right? So that thing that is very universal and general, right? There is somehow something that unites between them. Yani there's some kind of connection between them, and that's what you want to prove, right? So usually with the major premise, it's broader than the minor premise, but the conclusion is going to be very relevant to the two. And that's why you're always going to have a repetition of words that exist in the minor premise and the major premise that you will see in the conclusion. Right? Right? So you've got one word that is in the minor premise, which is a human, and you've got another word which is in the major premise, which is the body, jism, and then, of course, the conclusion is going to bring and combine and unite between both of them, right? This is a simple syllogistic argument. Very easy. Number 2, Hajj.
To start from individuals that exist under one universal title that unites them, and then prove the ruling of each of these individuals, followed by moving to a rule between the individuals to prove it to that universal. This is an upward method from the particulars to the universal that are applicable to it.
All right. So before it was a downwards from the universal to the particular, and now it's upwards from particular to universal, right? So this is taking a different approach, not downwards, but upwards. This is an upwards method from the particular, right? Which means from the juz'iyat to the universals to the kulli, right? That is applicable to it. And that's why it is called istiqra, deduction. And usually they use this method in science. They usually use this method in science, in empirical science. Why? Because you are able to use, مثلا, specimens all over the world. You're able to collect specimens of grape from all over the world and then conclude that grape is sour, delicious, sweet or sour, sweet and sour. Yalla Hajj, read.
Example: John is laughing, Peter is laughing, Alan is laughing. John, Peter, and Alan are humans. Conclusion: all humans laugh.
All right. So you see someone in Venezuela, he's a human, he laughs. You see someone in Africa, he's a human, he laughs. You see someone in the Middle East, he's a human, he laughs. So you deduce, right, from the particulars a universal law, which is humans, all humans laugh.
3. To start from the knowledge we have of proving a particular from among particulars, and then transfer this particular ruling to another where we do not know its ruling. This is because there is a similar relation between it.
1 second. Do you all still remember what kulli and juz'i mean? What particular and universal means? Do you still remember what they mean or not?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Okay. To start from the knowledge we have of proving a particular from among particulars, and then transfer this particular ruling to another where we do not know its ruling. This is because there is a similar relation between it and that which has proven ruling. This vertical method of transferring from one particular to another particular, similar to it's called analogy tamthil.
So, vertical, right? Not horizontal, vertical, from one to another. Is that right, Nisar? Is that right, Nisar? How dare you correct me? Is everyone listening? Vertical, what does it mean here? That you are looking at one thing and then looking at another thing, and then somehow making a comparison between these two things, and both of them are juz'i. This is juz'i and this is juz'i. This is particular and this is also particular, right? And then from comparing and moving between this juz'i and this juz'i, you come up with a natija. That's wrong. You can't do that. In fiqh, you can't. In logic, you can. Right? In fiqh, you can't. In logic, you can. Carry on.
Example, alcohol is forbidden. Wine is also forbidden because it is similar to it in that it intoxicates.
Yeah. So here, is this a logical example or is this a fiqhi example? It's a logical example, right? But it's a fiqhi issue. Thank you. So you can use this as a logical example, right? Because in logic they talk about haram and forbidden. Is that right? Do they talk about haram in logic? Do they talk about halal and haram in logic?
No.
Why'd you say logic? It's a logical example. Huh?
An example of what tamthil is, isn't it?
Where in logic do we talk about halal and haram? Where in logic do we talk about religion?
It's using the context of religion, but like the way they found it out is through tamthil.
Through tamthil, through analogy, right? So it is using tamthil in logic for extracting a hukum shar'i, where listening, where in logic you can't. This isn't a logical example. It's not logical. We're using the word haram. It's not logical. You can't use the word halal and haram in logic. Aishbikum.
Why not?
Because it's deen, it's religion. Logic is all about sensible things.
The example that they've given of the analogy.
What? Why can't you use religion in logic? Not logic in religion. You can use logic in religion, but you can't use religion in logic. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I don't.
What?
Is it something that I said that
Was kufr?
no, but like
Yes.
no, so it's
Logical.
the analogy itself.
The
It's a
analogy.
logical example.
No, the analogy itself. The analogy itself is yes, it's using tamthil. It's using the method of tamthil to prove a hukum shar'i. It's using what? No, of course in fiqh it's batil. In logic you can't use the word halal and haram in logic because logic is not the place for ahkam and for deen. That's what I'm trying to say.
So basically this is just a way of thinking.
Yes, so this example, what?
It's an example. It's a breakdown of what tamthil
What tamthil is. Okay? والحمد لله رب العالمين.